Your kids probably have one of these, right?
Not quite. Hell of a pilot? No. That skill is all AI. It has cameras and sensors, and just like your phones and social media apps, it does facial recognition. Inside here is 3 grams of shaped explosive. This is how it works. Did you see that? That little bang is enough to penetrate the skull and destroy the contents. Trained as a team, they can penetrate buildings, cars, trains, evade people, bullets, pretty much any countermeasure. Take out your entire enemy, virtually risk-free.
Their homes.
Well, we wish we had boots on the ground in every community in this country, but we don't. So our instructions
Ollie?
and our suggestions are to stay in touch with your...
Ollie, oh, hi. Hi, Ollie, honey. How's Edinburgh today? How are all your studies going, huh?
Good. Great.
Oh, great. Well, listen, I see some photos here with somebody, and I can see lots of likes, and what's that all about? Oh, wait a minute here, and on your...
Mom, she's on this spy stuff in the military?
What? What is this video right here? Oh, no, I'm not going to click on that.
It's just this, human rights thing about, oppression or whatever.
Honey, you're not going into politics, are you? I mean,
Okay,
no
Mom.
protest march.
Safe here, just like you said it would be.
Heavy traffic approaching the A720 this morning due to police...
Protect your family. Stay inside.
Can you hear me? Oliver, can you hear me? Listen to me.
I can hear it. I can hear it, Mom.
This technology illustrated in this film is simply an integration of existing capabilities. It's not science fiction. In fact, it is easier to achieve than self-driving cars. I actually saw also an episode of Black Mirror, the latest season, where they show these autonomous bees that go around and pollinate flowers, because apparently the bee population died out mostly. So they have all these little robotic bees pollinating flowers. And some hacker somehow gets into controlling these bees and starts doing basically what you saw in that film there, attacking people and killing them, certain targets, people that others don't like. Matter of fact, he integrated it with social media. He made a hashtag, and you know, people, the public got to choose who would die next, and whichever person was biggest on the hashtag by a certain time of a day, you know, within a certain day, that person would be attacked by one of these autonomous bees, these machine bees. So this is not exactly science fiction. This is the kind of dark potential future we have. And with this technology, I mean, if you haven't seen this show, Black Mirror, it shows quite a different episodes of how this technology can run amok and basically become a nightmare. Showing soldiers who have implants in their head and having basically a delusion put in their mind on what the enemy looks like. Like in this one episode, these soldiers have these implants in their heads, so whenever they see the enemy, they think the enemy is like a zombie killer, and they think the zombie's going to kill them, so they kill that person. And actually the person's just a normal person who the government doesn't like. So any person that the government doesn't like, they can make them look like some crazed zombie monster to these soldiers, and these soldiers literally think they're killing a monster. And it also like takes away their pain, and takes away some of their conscience, so that they don't have a problem killing people. All this manipulation via implants in the brain and in the eye, so that they can actually control these soldiers and make them do whatever they want them to do. And the soldier actually thinks they're doing something good for their country. In reality, they're actually killing innocent people. So that's just a couple examples of how this kind of technology could run amok. Obviously, people have been accepting the latest technology like it's nothing, and never questioning it. And we have these leaps and bounds of technology improvements and achievements and innovations of recent. This year has been so many of them. Cyborg implant eye. Every time I turn around, they got a new robotic breakthrough. And here we go. Once again, we have yet another. You could have these little drones just fly and kill people. And there's probably 10,000 different ways you could see how this technology could run amok. And just imagine some of these governments that we see around the world, which are pretty much batshit crazy. If you imagine they have this kind of technology, what is this world going to turn into? That's the question. Because this world is not run by benevolent, good people. Often you have insane dictators and leaders that are really, really messed up people running countries. And you could see that also with all this stuff that came out with WikiLeaks around the election time. We saw how depraved some of these world leaders are, particularly in America. And if you could imagine them having this technology in their hands, what are they going to do to you if you cross them in the wrong way? Just imagine if Hillary Clinton was president and she had this technology, just somehow mysteriously there's even more deaths around her. Not as if there already isn't 80 people who've died around her mysteriously. Just imagine if she had this sort of technology in her hands. Or just imagine some sort of communist dictator. And we had dictators back in the 20s killing millions of people. And just imagine if it was 2020 with this kind of technology, and you have some insane dictator who thinks you have no value and you're just a burden to society. I think you can see how this might be a problem, considering the fact that we're having all these leaps and bounds in technology, and people are pretty much not concerned whatsoever. They just keep latching onto it, and of course, a lot of these government leaders are not concerned. They're actually using it against us in the aspect of it being more of a 1984 type of scenario where we're being monitored. You can be controlled, probably potentially by social media. I just saw this video by Lauren Southern as well, where she's talking about how if you said some wrong word, hate speech, you say something that's the government deems to be hate speech, they could shut off all your electronics, because we're already getting to that place where you could run all your electronics from one device in your home. Perhaps in the future, your refrigerator will be, voice recognition, and it won't open unless it's your voice, you know what I mean? Or your doors, same thing. It could be that, to get into your car that automatically drives to your workplace. Perhaps you said some bad word and they overheard it in your home while you're watching TV with your friends, and they decided to penalize you for 2 days and not let you have access to your refrigerator or have access to your car. You pretty much can't go anywhere, do anything, can't have access to your cell phone, your computer, because you said some bad word or you did something they didn't like. You know what I mean? So that's why, that's just yet another example. Like I said, there's probably 10,000 different examples you could give if you just sit there and think about it for a little while. And just imagine some of these insane, ruthless dictators over the last century. Just imagine a few of them with this kind of technology, what they would do. They were already doing pretty bad things. Killing millions of people without this technology. Just imagine what they could do with it. So this is why it's very concerning. And I think, obviously, just the fact that we have fallen human nature. I mean, just imagine, even if you have a good, let's just say you have a good setup in your country and this stuff works for a while, eventually you might get some ruthless dictator or someone who subverts the government, or perhaps even a terrorist group gets a hold of whatever technology and just kills a ton of people. See what I mean? Or does whatever. So this is why I think this is a very concerning topic, and I think it shows sort of the type of future we could really have. It could be a very, very disturbing future. The technology illustrated in this film is simply an integration of existing capabilities. The military has been one of the largest founders and adopters of artificial intelligence technology. Okay? While military drones have long been flown remotely for surveillance and attacks, autonomous weapons armed with explosives and target recognition systems are now within reach and can locate and strike without deferring to a human controller. Opponents believe that handling machines, the power over who lives and dies, crosses a clear moral line. Pursuing the development of lethal autonomous weapons would drastically reduce international, national, local, and personal security. Russell said scientists use a similar argument to convince Presidents Lyndon Johnson and Richard Nixon to renounce the U.S. biological weapons program and ultimately bring about the Biological Weapons Convention. So this is interesting, and of course, if one, ruler or one president decides not to use such devices, someone else is going to. See, that's the whole thing that's very concerning. It's not about, hey, can we use these and not have a problem? It's more like you just have to think about the least common denominator. You just have to think about the one person that's just evil enough to use it to do a lot of evil. And you always know that there's at least one of them out there that's going to do it, and eventually they'll get their hands on it, and eventually a lot of people will die. So, or something else will happen, right? Maybe it'll become like Kim Jong-il's North Korea over the whole world. That'd be pretty disturbing, right? But actually, that's probably what's going to happen, considering the Book of Revelation and how it reads. That's probably what's going to happen, right? A treaty banning autonomous weapons would prevent large-scale manufacturing of the technology. It would provide a framework to police nations working on the technology and spread of dual-use devices. Of course, you also have the factor of, even if you have these countries policing other countries, perhaps behind the scenes, the deep state is making them still, they're obviously going to still have them as a backup.